And we're SpielMill.
And this is our top 100 board games of all time.
Yep. And this is the episode 61 to 70.
Yep. So we're going to start at 70, count down to 61. And we're getting towards the middle of our list.
Yep.
Which is where all our bad games are hidden.
Yes. These are still garbage. I mean,
yeah,
they're still in the bottom.
Something like that.
Just kidding.
There's so many good games out there, and we like games, so we like most games. I mean, honestly.
Especially at this point, because we can kind of evaluate, like, is the game for us? Is it not for us? We don't make a lot of mistakes on new games coming in the door anymore. Yeah. So, but anyway, that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started with our number 70.
All right. My number 70 board game of all time, as of 2025, is, I believe, new to my list. It is the dice chuckiest of dice chucking games, and that is the Fox Experiment.
I knew it.
The Fox Experiment, you get these big, by the end of the game, you got so many dice, and you're just throwing.
Two hands! Two hands!
It's so fun. So I really enjoyed this one. It's I'm not crazy. The themes I have mixed feelings with the theme. I'm interested in the science, but that experiment that it's based on was also a bit abusive, so there's like issues there. But the gameplay itself is fantastic. I really like the dice chucking in this one.
Yeah,
you really do. You get to match up. You're trying to breed dogs or foxes to create different, like, more tame foxes or more friendly foxes or more feisty foxes or whatever. And you're rolling the dice to try to match like DNA and stuff like that. And it's interesting. It's got goals. It's got, different things that you do and a couple bonuses that can get triggered and stuff like that, but it's really the dice chucking is what makes this really fun.
Yeah, I do think that one of the things that to me is very interesting about it, and it's not necessarily what makes it fun, but I always like when there's like that extra little bit of thinky to it, is that the mechanisms sort of match the theme, where you've got a male and a female fox, and they're both bringing traits to the offspring, and the offspring is going to get some combo of them. It's not going to get all of them, but it's going to get some combo of them, and so that's how you're kind of picking your dice. And it just really is. You're right. It's a really great game.
It's fun, and I like I said, I like the science of it. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But, it reminds me that I really want to play the other game that we have about
genotype.
Genotype.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play that one. It's on our shelf of Shameful Opportunity.
All right.
So anyway, that's my number 70, the Fox Experiment. I won't take too long because we know these videos get long.
Yeah. We can talk. All right. My number 70 is new to the list, and it is it's a stand-in for a family of games, okay? And that is the Medusa Report. And so these are puzzle games from Vandermeest.
So an extended family of games.
Yeah. Well, no, this is specifically the Vandermeest series. So the Medusa
Report. The Vandermeest is... Oh, yeah, the Vandermeest series, yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 in it.
I was confusing it for a sec with the Mother of Frankenstein.
No. This is... specifically these series of puzzle games from this publisher.
Yes.
I think they're a level up from like an Exit.
Yeah.
Maybe a level down from the Light in the Mist.
Post Curious.
Yeah.
Yep.
Post Curious. So it's sort of like that middle range. They're doable.
And the best part is that they're a series of them, and they story picks up in each game from where the last one left off,
which I really like. So the stories are good. They go through the game, they follow through the series, and the puzzles are really good. They're challenging. There's some 3-dimensional puzzles in there that were really cool. The way they use all the materials is really cool. These folks are really clever, and if you like sort of the Exit style or the puzzle style games, I really suggest you check out the ones from Vandermeest, I think is the publishers.
I'm not sure who the publisher is.
Vandermeest Dossier was the
these
first
are a good
one.
pick. Yeah, this is a good pick.
I think Vandermeest Dossier was the first one.
That was the name of the game, yeah.
Yeah, and then
The Medusa Report was 2. And the third one is not out yet, I believe.
Yeah.
But we're waiting on it. So
yeah.
There's going to be a trilogy, basically.
Yeah. So I just, really, really good. Highly recommend. Medusa Report. My number 70.
Good choice. My number 69 is really a game of games, because you play lots of games when you play it, and that is My City. My City is a legacy game from Reiner Knizia, where you basically are placing tiles to build out your city on a map. And it's really simple. I do not want to say too much because it is a legacy game, so I don't want to spoil anything. But you're scoring points, and it changes as you go. You're putting stickers on the board to change the map on the board. You're putting on wells. You're putting on trees. You're putting on rocks. You're doing different things like that without saying too much about that. And then it's just really fun. I think compared to most legacy games, this one's so tableable. Each game is under 30 minutes, more likely 20. Like, it just flies, and you can we played this 2-player, works really well 2-player.
Yeah.
You can play it 2 to 4. Really fun. I think this one is definitely worth the time. I liked it more than My Island, but this spot can represent both, with My City being the best choice, which was the sequel. My Island was the sequel. And My Island, one of the issues we had with it was that one of the strengths of My City is that it's got like a leveling mechanism, so that if you lose, you get little bonuses to even up the next game. And My Island, those drop off more aggressively than they did in My City, and I thought that was a detraction for us.
Yeah, I don't like the story as much either in My Island.
It was a little weird, yeah.
Yeah, I will say, so My City is on BGA, but if you can, I'd play it in person first.
Yes.
The 3-dimensional nature of it, the putting stickers on, you get, nope, never mind. I won't say anything else.
Oh, you don't want to spoil it?
No, but you've got your personal player pieces, and that sometimes it's really hard to keep track of online. So I'd recommend playing this in person if you can. And then we've played it through now, I think at least twice on BGA.
Yeah.
With different groups
More
of
than
people.
twice, yeah.
At least. And that's a great way to replay it. But I would only do that after we played the...
Beware of experienced players, because they know when to intentionally lose a game in order to get really good perks, which is kind of cheating the system, and we don't do that, but so anyway, that's my number 69 legacy game, My City.
All right, well, my number 69 again also stands in for a group of games, and that is Cartographers. I think I have Cartographer Heroes on here instead of just like the base game Cartographers, but 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, to be honest. But I love Cartographers. I'm a little surprised it's this low even. I think that just is an indication of how good the games get after this.
Absolutely.
Yep. And it dropped 57 places. It was number 12 last time we did this.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, just so many good games
that
jumped in.
It's been 3 years, so things are going to change.
Yeah. Cartographers has, it's such a malleable game for us, so we have adapted it so we can play it in our chairs, and have the card plays on a spreadsheet so we can broadcast on the TV, but we've also played it at the table with people. It can get really complicated, or not complicated, but there's like a whole other, what?
I was just going to say, we are reclinographers.
We are reclinographers. We are, in fact, reclinographers. What was I going to say?
I'm sorry.
Your jokes distract me. Oh yeah, we've played it at the table with folks. We've played it online, like by Zoom with friends who know the game really well, so we could, share it. So it's really malleable. There's lots of different maps. There's lots of different versions to it, so you can it doesn't get stale. You can kind of keep adding to it, but really at its heart, it's the base game. It's the map, the extra maps, and the goal cards and things like that don't add a lot of complexity, or it doesn't differentiate the game. It's just sort of more of cartographers,
Yep.
which is fine. It's fine. It just makes it a little bit more, spicy with different goal cards. But I really love this game. I love drawing the maps and the shapes, and this is just a classic.
Yeah.
So that's my number 69, cartographers.
Good choice. My number 68 is a game. It's a dexterity game that we've only played a few times, but we want to save it for the. We wanted to save it and not play it too much because I think we're going to try to play through it with friends, and that is Mental Blocks. Mental Blocks is a really cool. So we haven't played it a lot, so I can't say too much about it. Plus, there might be spoilers if I talked about the scenarios, but not really. But basically, you each have a card that's from your perspective for the same puzzle, and you have to figure out how to arrange these blocks so that they match your cards. But it's tricky because what works from my perspective may not work from your perspective, and so we both have to rearrange it so that it works from both perspectives. A really cool game, very puzzly. I think people who like those kind of spatial puzzles will really enjoy this. Yeah. So we do.
We do. And it has something I really love in some of these legacy or whatever else. What is the other word for them?
Dexterity. This is dexterity?
Yeah. No, but the games campaign games, yeah. Yep. So is that it starts super simple, so it eases you into it.
Yep.
Right? It's actually a pretty complex puzzle, the 3D thing, and it's one that I'm not super strong at, but it starts so easy that I think it walks you along and helps you sort of develop that skill as you go, like The Crew or something like that. Yep. Which I really, really love that in a game. It just makes it so nice and easy to get into, and before you know it, it's just very, very complicated, but you're ready for it because you've been practicing. So really like that.
Yeah, so that's my number 68, a pretty cool dexterity game called Mental Blocks.
All right, my number 68 is new to the list. We just played it this year, and that is Merchant's Cove.
Ooh,
yes,
nice choice.
Merchant's Cove is, I know some folks I've heard some folks, I think, on Dice Tower talk about how because there's different player powers, it's really complex to learn, but I really didn't think it was that hard. Basically, there's a overarching game where you're trying to compete to get your folks on the boats, but each person's ship captain plays very differently, and you have your own sort of little solo puzzle game going to figure out how to build up your ship captains, right, powers, and get your folks on the boat. And so it's very different, and I think it's just really interesting. I really liked, we both played with a couple of different captains. They were very different in how they play and how they feel, which it just makes it really interesting and exciting for me. Like I want to play the next captain. I want to play the next module of it that I haven't played before, right? It keeps it really interesting. There's a lot of replayability with this one for that reason, because you can just go from captain to captain, or you can play one until you get really good at it and then go to the next one. And there's certainly expansions, but I really find this a very satisfying game.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
All right, that's my number 68, Merchant's Cove.
All right. My number 67 is a dexterity game, just like the last
Another one. Wow.
This one's very different. This is a flicking game called Sonora. Sonora is a flicking roll and write game. You flick a disc around a little square board with 4 quadrants. It lands in a certain quadrant, and based on where your discs land, you can fill in circles on your roll and write sheet, which has the 4 quadrants in it, and it has different bubbles, and each one fills in a different way. And you can get bonuses and keep filling that, and you can get a bonus here to fill in another area. You can get a bonus there to fill in that area more. All kinds of bonuses. That's really fun, the sort of cascading bonuses. And the fact that it's dexterity plays really adds a nice fun element to it. I think this one's really enjoyable, and really I think does not have a very difficult barrier to entry for it. I think anybody could play it pretty much. I don't know. So I think that would work really well, introduce people to those different elements of gameplay.
Yeah, I really enjoy this one too. I'm not good at it. I can't flick my disc and get it to go where I want it to go, but I really do enjoy it. And the roll and write aspect of it with 4 different types of puzzles is really interesting and fun.
Yep.
Lots of combo tastics.
It's very combo-tastic. So that's my number 67 is Sonora.
All right. My number 67 is down 33 from the last time. It was at 34. It is on BGA, and we've been playing it there recently, and that is Viticulture. And Viticulture is, I think, the first wine game we played. There have been a ton that have come out. It's from Stonemaier Games, and it's worker placement. I really love the fact that there's 2 seasons, and you do one type of activity in one season and another type of activity in another season, and you can decide when to pass a season and go on to the next one, because you only have X number of workers. Maybe it's, you can train workers to get more, but let's say you got 4 workers, right? You can use all 4 in the summer, or you can do 2 in the summer and pass and do 2 in the winter. But I think that's a really interesting mechanism. And of course, the game evolves as you go on. You start off doing a lot in the summer and less later in the game. And then, of course, the last round, it's like to pass right to winter. Get everything done in the winter that you can get done. So I think this has dropped a lot for me because it's still a really good game, but I think there's better wine games out there. So the theme, which is one of the things that really carried it for us, doesn't carry it anymore. There's other games that have sort of supplanted it, but it's still a solid game. I mean, Stonemaier makes really great games, and I like it with the expansion. The expansions are not on BGA, but I really like the expansions in person. I think had actually we played it in person instead of my most recent plays being on BGA, it might have been a little bit higher because the expansions aren't there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get back to the table at some point, but it's not on the short list right now, just because of other things we have.
Yeah, we've got so many other things. Yeah, if we were gonna play a Stonemaier again, I'd want to do Leaders or Euphoria.
But we do have Viticulture World.
Yes.
Which is like the campaign version, which you play Viticulture campaign. So maybe we do want it on our short list.
Yeah, that I'd play.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that is my number 67, Viticulture.
All right. Good choice. My number 66 has dropped 45 spots. It is a really good game. I've been playing it a lot on BGA, and that is Castles of Burgundy. First off, we have the deluxe edition. Oh, yes! We love it. We love the deluxe components. We love deluxe components in any game. We just pulled out a game to play, and it had gray cubes for money. And we're just like, what?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Unacceptable. So anyway, we are just having I've had a blast with it, and I really enjoy playing it on BGA. It works really well on that level because it's not overly complicated. And for online games, I find the less complicated games are a little better. So it's a good medium weight game that you can play over and over and over again. But it's obviously more fun in person, and there's good variety though with the gameplay, the different boards and everything, which is really good. So there's that. So anyway, I really love this. Stefan Feld, one of his classics, most classic games, most classicest of classic games.
It is the most classicest of classic games, I think.
And it's dropped 45 spots for me. Just no reason. Just so many good games. Everything in my top 100 is awesome. Everything in my top 500 is pretty good. So my number 66 is Castles of Burgundy.
Excellent. Well, my number 66 is, this is, I think, a top themed decile here because it's Brew Crafters. So we're in the drinky portion of the list. That's dropped.
She's sneaking drinks. She can't even tell.
It's dropped 9. It was 57 last time we did this. Brew Crafters remains one of my just favorite games. It's so delightful. It's about brewing beer, of course. There's lots of different types of beer in the game that you can I think not everyone's in every game, but you know, you have to follow the recipe, make sure you have the right ingredients to brew the beer,
Yep.
which I love. I really like this with the expansions. I think actually at the base game is maybe just a hair shy of the complexity that I really want in a game. But when you start adding the various expansions, like the tasting room and the community farm,
they really
and
add
things
to
like
the
that,
theme.
they add, oh my gosh, it adds so much to the theme.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. When you add all of those expansions in, it is so thematic. It's a worker placement, which is, I think, my favorite mechanism, right? And it's about making beer.
Yeah.
It's so great. I really love this game. Yes, that is my number 66, Brewcrafters.
Good choice. My number 65 is new to my list. It is a really, really good game. We played it here for the first time this year. And it's nice and heavy Euro. Jiangnan Life of Gentry. The Jiangnan Life of Gentry is a game about you're touring around a region of Jiangnan in China. And you're going around town and doing different things. It's worker placement essentially with some cool little clever mechanism twists where you got these boats and you're putting people on these boats and you're trying to get a majority on each of the boats to get the most points. That's really cool. And a little of that depends on what sites you go to do actions. Mm-hmm. So the different locations in town allow you to do different actions, but they also allow you to put people on those particular boats. So each worker placement has a manifold purpose behind it. So it's a really cool game. Very definitely on the complex end. Definitely, I would not say it's not like a Lacerda. It's like a mid 3-weight BGG kind of game, like 3.5 or something. Yep. Really good though, and
beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We have the 3-dimensional boats, which are good, except they block the score track on the one side, which is a little less than ideal. From people on the other side of the table, who was me. So there is that. But it's got a really cool mechanism I do want to mention, which is it's got a bag. It's not a bag builder exactly. You do kind of bag build a little, but it's very minimal. But you draw action selection tokens out of the bag, and you draw 2. And they have resources printed on them usually. And you get to play, there's actions and resources printed on them. And the action site you can go to is dictated by the top half of the token. And the bottom half is resources, but you choose 1 token to do the action and 1 token to take the resources. So that's really kind of interesting. And it makes for interesting choices.
I love that. I think that is so interesting. As you said, it's a very clever way to do action selection. It feels different from, really anything I've ever done. It feels really unique. So
and they kind of go on your player board in a certain order, and then they slide off. And it's a whole thing, and it's just nifty.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend, if you're into Euros and like clever mechanisms, I highly recommend Jiangnan Life of Gentry. My number 65 board game of all time.
I wandered away from from the spot on my spreadsheet to see where that was on mine. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. All right, so my number 65 is new to the list, and it is also about alcohol. Like I said, Dampierre. So I actually, and this is one of the games.
The truth is the rest of our top 100 are all games about alcohol. 65 more to come.
You didn't know there were that many. There are. Dampierre, it's new. We just played it this year, and it's one of the games that really bumped viticulture down for me. It is about growing grapes and making champagne. It is a worker placement, but it's got this really cool action selection mechanism. It's not worker placement.
No,
it's not. It's got the action selection mechanism is you move.
There is worker placement.
There is, but it's not the main action selection.
it's kind of confusing, but
what's really interesting though is you've got these like this chart, right? And it goes, I don't remember the numbers, 1 to 10, say, and you move your peg up to do that, or your little barrel, you move your barrel up to do that action, and then when it gets to the top, you can't do that anymore. So you're really limited in how often you can do each of the different actions. So you've got to make sure that you get done what you need to get done before you run out of chances to do, like to I was gonna say brew, to make wine.
Yeah, this can be quite punishing if you don't plan well.
Yeah.
In the game. So yeah.
But it's very it's also very doable, and it's another really unique action selection mechanism.
It's a great decision space.
Really enjoyed this game. We weren't sure, we backed it, I think, because of the theme, and it wasn't one that everybody was talking about, and I think people were sleeping on this. I really think this is a game that had more people had it had a bigger run, or this got into the right hands, it would have been really popular, because it is so interesting. The theme's great, but that action selection mechanism and, like you said, that decision space in that game is really interesting.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes, that's my number 66 ish. Is that where we are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Dampierre.
All right, number 64 on my list is a board game with a great theme about witches, and that is Septima. Septima is a really cool Euro board game, really, from Mindclash Games. It's got a few things going on. You've got a board, and you move your piece around on the board, and depending on where it is, depending on what action you choose, first of all, you can get a bonus action if it's in the right place. Second of all, if you're collecting ingredients for your herbal witchery, you can get them from the adjacent sites to where you are. But also, if you're not careful, you might put yourself into danger from the witch hunters. So that's a big deal. So this game's based on, obviously Salem witch trial kind of stuff. So it's a little bit of a dark theme, but I didn't find the theme to be bad in that way. I didn't find that it was oppressive or, concerning, like where it took away from the gameplay. The heaviness of the theme.
Right.
Because, there are witch trials, and you do get, like, witch trialed out of the game, like your witches. So it is dark theme, but, like, I don't know. But so then you're trying to win the witch trials, and, trying not to be, lose your witch and stuff like that. So that's an important thing. So you have angry mob characters, and you're trying to outnumber them in the votes for whether or not somebody's a witch. There's a lot going on in this game. It's got a little expansion where you can have pets, and you can turn into not pets. You can turn into your familiar.
Yeah, familiars, yeah.
And turn back and stuff like that. And when you're in your familiar form, you get certain special powers, but you're also limited in what you can do. So it's kind of interesting. Really fun Euro game about witchery.
Yeah, and beautiful.
And beautiful.
As a theme, we like pretty games.
We like a pretty game. We like a Dutch game. We like all that. So yeah, my number 64 is Septima.
All right. My number 64 is it's another stand-in for, it's not about alcohol though. It's a stand-in for a group of games. And this one's really like a stand-in for a huge group of games. And that is the Deadbolt Mysteries. So I have Dark and Stormy Night on here for lack of any better. But so Deadbolt Mysteries are actually mysteries in a box. You can subscribe to them. We had a subscription at one point where they would send you a new one every month, and you got that for me right about the time you got sick, and we were not able to do them. So we have a whole bunch of them, and we started finally playing through them. And I think the reason why I really like these is it is I love the puzzle games, right? The escape room in the box. These are approachable. These are probably the most approachable.
More introductory, yeah. Yeah,
more introductory. But very thematic. They've got a great story. And it takes no prep time, right? You can sit down and play a new one without doing any work. And so that's great for us because sometimes, you know, you might not feel well and we might not be able to learn a game, but you have energy to play a game, we can just play one of those.
It's pretty consistently under 2 hours. You know, it fits within a certain window. So, you know, you're not going to be sitting down for 4 hours in most cases, you know.
Yeah.
So that's good too. Like you have it's very consistent what you're getting. And you get used to it. Like it's a certain format. You get used to the format really quickly.
Yeah, and I really like these. We love our mystery shows, as we've said many times. We like, you know, we love that theme, and so these put you in the middle of the mystery, and these really are like murder mysteries, basically. Some of them are maybe not murder, some other type thing, but most of them somebody's dead, which is a little bit different too from some of the other games like the Vandermist series and the Post Curious. These are more like very traditional murder mystery type games, and I love that theme. They're highly thematic, and over Christmas they have a bunch of Christmas ones, and so we were able to get those. I think, did we play them all?
No,
we didn't. We have some for next year.
We played most of the Christmas ones. I think we might have played all the Christmas ones, but there were some winter themed ones that we kind of considered Christmassy that we didn't get to.
Yeah.
So we might play them still, or might save them for next Christmas. I don't know.
Yeah, but I love that. It was so much fun at Christmas time to play those Christmas ones.
Yeah.
So great. So
very fun.
Yeah, I really love the Deadbolt mystery series, Dark and Stormy Night. That's my number 64.
Yeah, and I like they had a print and play one that we did.
Yeah.
It was easier than the others. So if you're looking for really introductory, the print and play one we did, Merry Mischief, was really introductory.
And I think they have some non-Christmas themed print and plays.
Yes, they do. So if they're all easier like that, they might be a good place to start if you're trying to get into puzzle games for the first time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. That's my number 64.
My number 63 is a really, you know, the theme really works in this game, but it's not a theme that particularly appeals to me. It was interesting, but I love this game, and it's called Coloma. And Coloma is basically a Western theme. It's in a gold rush town, Coloma, which is where I believe the gold rush started in history. And so there's a national park there and stuff. You know, this is a really fun worker placement game. Or it's got a really interesting, is it worker placement? It's a rondelle. So it is worker placement. And you can place your workers around this rondelle. And the trick is that there's 2 actions on every space in a rondelle. And you may be able to, if you plan it well, you're able to do both actions. And this is a good programming game, by the way. And if you don't, you only get to do 1 action. And the trick is that everyone decides where they're playing their characters in secret. And then you reveal, right? Am I remembering this right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then if you end up with multiple characters in the same spot, that's when you don't get to do both actions. So you're trying to outthink your other players and end up on spots on your own kind of thing. So you could do the most powerful actions. Really interesting game, really fun. It does the theme really well. You've got all the elements you'd expect in a Western Gold Rush Town game.
Bandit fighting.
You got bandit fighting. You got you panning for gold. You got all kinds of things going on. So you're going around and camping at different sites, and it's definitely a Euro. We got a thing, and I should say this dropped 7 spots for me, so it stayed pretty consistent. But we have the deluxe version, which is very nicely done. The rondelle actually sticks onto the board with a magnet, if I remember correctly. And so that's kind of cool. And doesn't it turn? So the things change their alignment.
It does.
Really fascinating. So pretty cool. So different actions align with different actions. It's interesting. And so, yeah, I really recommend this one. I know the Brothers Murph like it a lot.
Yeah.
Too. So we're not the only ones. So anyway, that's my number 63 is Coloma.
All right. My number 63 is from arguably my favorite designer, Uwe Rosenberg.
Okay.
And it is Ottawa.
All right.
New to the
Wow, that's nice and high.
Yeah, new to the list this year.
Crossover because I had it earlier. And I meant to mention that Don Pierre was a crossover because that was 85 on my list, and Ottawa was 88.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I thought you mentioned it. So Ottawa, first of all, I love the theme. It's about it's in Ghana, about a village learning to live in harmony with bats,
Yep.
As opposed to, trying to eradicate them, using the guano as fertilizer for their crops, which I just think is a great theme. And you're adding to your area. You're either putting out villages or you're putting out fields, and then working on producing to fill those fields or fill those villages. And one of the things I think is so fun and interesting is that as you, let's say, produce fruit, you're uncovering spaces on your own personal player board, and as you take fruit off of there to fill into your fields, you reveal income spaces, and so that'll help generate income. But then things will come off your board, and so it's just that push and pull of trying to get everything off so that you have income generating, but then triggering an action that's going to undo some of it. And it makes it really fascinating. The action selection, it's worker placement.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about it though. Help me remember.
Well, it's worker placement. You have a board with a bunch of worker action spaces, but there's also some that you can play your workers onto your own action spaces as well. So there's a couple things going on. There's a lot of action spaces actually. So that's one thing I liked about this game, is it really gave you a lot of choice and strategy.
And I think I remembered is that, so they also, the board is modular is not quite the right word, but you're putting out sort of like the top action, and those change order every game or every round. So like in one, and there's two things. So you get the one that's on the piece that you put down, and then you get the one that's printed on the board. So you could get, 2 gold and a bat, or you could get 2 bats and a sheep, depending on how it's placed. And they move as the game goes on. And so it changes. It's going to change as the rounds go on. And that's going to shift. And so what is a very attractive placement spot one round may be less attractive the next one. Or you might think, oh, I really want to wait for that because in the next round, that's going to give me a lot of things I want versus just 1 or 2. So that's just Uwe's so clever that way. His board games are always so clever. There's always something that's just really unique. And I really think that is a lot of fun. So I love this game thematically. I liked it mechanically. There's just a lot to love here. It's a little bit lighter than some of his other games, I think.
It is. It's not as heavy as some games. I think.
Somewhere in between his abstract line and his farming.
Well, I'd say it's closer to the farming.
It's definitely closer to the farmer. It's thematically, mechanically, it's a lot more like the farming, but it's a little bit more simple. So, which actually might make it
not
a
as
nice,
heavy.
A nice entry game.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It is a little tough. The resource management's tough in it, but I like that. It works well.
All right, that is my number 63, Ottawa.
All right, my number 62. I'm not going to be able to talk about this one too much detail, just because it's been a while since we played it. And it's dropped a lot of spaces, 57 spots, which, do the math, was top 5. So it is Lisboa.
Wow.
And the main reason is because we haven't played it. I know I love it, but I'm going by feel. I'm not going by memory of how the mechanisms work that well. I remember some little basic bits. One thing I loved about this game is the theme is based on the rebuilding of Lisbon after a series of natural and human caused disasters.
What was an earthquake that caused a tsunami, which caused a fire.
So they're all natural disasters basically. But yeah, so it was just a whole ricochet of events, and the game is really cool. It's complex. It's Lacerda. It's got not a player a help card. It's got a help book.
It's a pamphlet.
It's a pamphlet, and you flip through pages, but it works really well, actually. It's surprisingly well. Like it seemed overwhelming at first, but then when you used it, it was like, oh, okay, that wasn't bad. And you just had a lot of choices. So that was really interesting, and it's definitely a fantastic game. The board's definitely beige. Like, it's pretty but beige.
It's like it reminds me. What is it? Is it the Rococo style? Am I making that up?
I don't know.
It's like that very like scrolly, curly, blue, gray.
But it all kind of blurs together a little bit art-wise. But it's beautiful. But I really enjoyed this game a ton when I played it. It's been a few years, and I don't remember it very well. So I'm going off of my memory here to say that I love this game. Would it be higher if I played it again? Probably, and I'd be able to talk about it in more depth. But I did sort of like, if I can't talk about a game too much in depth, I didn't feel comfortable putting it in my top 10. So it ended up here at number 62, and that is Lisboa.
All right. That is a great choice. My number 62 is down 5 spots, up 5 spots. It was at 67 the last time we did this. And honestly, I'm surprised we had played it at that point. And that is Tawantinsuyu.
Ah.
So I think this is, I think it's one of the heaviest of the tea games.
It's probably very heavy.
Yeah, but really, really good. It's heavy because I think there's a lot of different things going on, but I really like that in a game when you've got almost different games happening on one board, when you're like trying to have area control over here and trying to build out your tapestry over here and trying to accomplish something else over here. We love this, yeah. Yeah, I think that's so interesting. But the other thing that's really, I think, very cool about Tawantinsuyu, aside from the fact that it uses potatoes as one of the currencies, and, you know, that's appropriate because I love potatoes, is that you get, it's worker placement, but the workers aren't consistently yours. You get them based on how you, I don't even remember how you get them, but not unlike Paladins of the West Kingdom or something, where you're getting, like, based on your income, you're getting, okay, I get 2 white workers and 2 red workers this turn, or 3 blue workers and a yellow worker. And that matters because that when you put them down on the board, you can create an area of majority that will give you more stuff, as I recall. So I could play off of meeples that Jane placed last turn, and that could really help me. Even though she put them down, they're red, I need to build off of the red. So I think that's really cool, a really cool mechanism in there. So that is, I'm trying to remember more about it. Also, we haven't played in a couple years, this game either, but I do really enjoy it, and that is Tawantinsuyu.
Good one. Yeah, I love Tawantinsuyu. My number 61 is probably our most played board game, or one of them. I think it's our most played game with a board that we played physically, and that's Notre Dame.
I was going to say, yeah, it's got to be.
And, you know, because we've played, like, The Crew a lot, but that's a card game, and, you know, like, stuff like that. So, like, with a full board and everything, and we've played Sail a lot, we've played a lot of BGA. So, like, Notre Dame we've played over 100 times, just in person, physically. We love this game. It is so fun. It is a simple card drafting game. It is really well balanced, and surprisingly, for such a simple-ish game, there's so many strategies.
So many.
In so many ways you can go, and it's just it feels like, it starts to feel like it's going to be formulaic, and then it isn't. And it isn't, you know, like, it breaks the formula on you all the time.
And the games are interesting because I'm not even sure why or how, but they have their own characteristics, and it's not how you play one game versus you play another game. It's the game, the way the cards come out, the way the extras come out, because we'll have a game where it's not high scoring. Neither one of us get more than like 36 points, right? And then we'll have another one that
Both
is
get
like,
75.
Yeah, exactly. And so almost always we are in the ballpark together, but it can be very low or very high depending on the way the cards come out. Yeah.
And and it's just interesting because every game's unique, and there's so much replayability in the game. My only complaint about Notre Dame is I want a deluxe version.
Yes,
I want to deluxify it.
It's so ugly.
And I just think that would be phenomenal. And I really enjoyed this game. So
yeah, I think this game is a really great representation of Stefan Fell's genius in game design, because it's not, like you said, it's not complicated. You would think that you would get bored of it, or that it would be very samey. There'd be just a couple of strategies, but it's not. It's so variable. It's just the way the cards come out, the way the hiring folks, the order they come out. Love it. Love this game.
Yeah, me too. So my number 61, Notre Dame. Notre Dame. All
right. My number 61 is new to the list. And if you haven't already mentioned it, I think it might be higher on yours. And that is Endless Winter, Paleo Americans. So I will say we've played this. This game is the one exception to my rule that I prefer all expansions in every game. Generally, if there's expansions and you can play, like, just add them all. I want it all. I want it all. This one, it overwhelmed me a little bit, which is super rare. But there was too much, and they were. I know. It was too much to have them all in.
Yeah, it was a lot,
and that's probably why it's lower on the list for me. But that aside,
it's pretty high.
It's pretty. Yeah. It's a really interesting game. It's kind of card drafting, but as you build your hand, you're not going to go through it like a lot of card drafting games. You go through your hand 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, right? Yeah. You're like constantly churning. This one, not so. You're only going to see those cards a couple of times at most.
That's true.
And cards that you get at the end of the game, it's a one-time deal. And that takes a little bit of adjustment in thinking too. If you're used to playing card drafting games, like, you have to think about, like, I'm drafting that card to use it once
or twice
maybe, and that's okay. But I think it's very interesting. There's a couple of different ways to play the game. It really varies depending on the expansions, and the way you like score your animals. Whether I can't, maybe you can remember exactly what the animal scoring variability was.
I don't remember exactly the differences, but there were a couple of different ways they scored. So
yeah, but we really enjoyed this game, and it was better with most, but not all of the expansions. At one point, you know what it is? When you add a lot to a game, you need to make room to do more, right? And this is the problem with the Tapestry expansions too, is that you need either more workers, right? More rounds, more time, more something, so that you can actually do all of the different things. If you don't have a mechanism like that, it means that you can't play out a strategy to its full extent, right? You just can't do it. And I think this game suffered from that a little bit. I remember that there was I can't remember which expansion it was now, but I know that there was one expansion that I just quit even trying to do anything with it, because I couldn't do that and do the other things in the game. It was like an either or.
Yeah, there's a couple. It reminds me of the Tapestry thing, where you add a track, but you don't add enough like extra play opportunities to take advantage of more tracks, or you're still doing the same number of tracks. So you're basically having to not do something else that you might want to do as well.
Yeah, and a lot of times we try to like house rule to fix that, but this one, there wasn't really necessarily a way to do that, and so that just felt kind of.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But love it.
Fantastic game.
Yeah, I think it would be higher if it weren't for that.
Fair enough.
All right, and that was my number 61.
All right, so that is our 61 to 70 board games of all time. Thank you all for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think, what your picks would be. If you have any feedback, always. And,
Yeah. Love to hear it.
Yep.
All right. Remember,
Every day that you game
is a holiday.
Bye, everyone.